please reach out at messagemyhub@gmail.com.
Things that we can relate to each other on. If that conversation goes somewhere with depth, create a conversation amongst people who may not have ever had that conversation otherwise. Things that we can relate to each other on. If that conversation goes somewhere with depth, I'm only interesting because the people I know are interesting. And it's time that I share that gift with the world. Is to create a conversation amongst people who may not have ever had that conversation.
Hello there, folks, and welcome back to the show where we celebrate people who are passionate about what they do. Whether they're artists, tradespeople, creatives, or in today's case, someone helping people reconnect with themselves one yoga pose at a time. All levels of awesome are welcome here to the self-proclaimed, most interesting, informative, and funny podcast ever, The Hub. Because honestly, this show is about so much more than talent alone. It's much more about passion, purpose, and genuine connection. That thing inside somebody that makes them light up when they talk about what they love. And today's guest is no exception. But before we meet one of the guides to my personal wellness, let's stretch emotionally and spiritually together, shall we?
The Hub.
Here's a few quick updates from around the Hub universe. Once again, thank you to everybody for tuning in, sharing the show, and supporting these conversations. It means a lot. We're continuing to grow across all major platforms, which is exciting considering the whole thing started with a random conversation, which led to my curiosity in podcasting and what some would probably describe as reckless optimism in the fact that people are still interested in other people. So far, so good. More pop-up podcasts are on the way this summer, including today, and I'm excited to continue spotlighting interesting people doing meaningful things in Colorado. That concludes my self-aggrandizing for the moment. Let's get into some current events. The world continues doing its absolute best to keep everyone distracted, separated, and emotionally exhausted. Do yourself a favor and don't be one of them. Have lunch with that leftist cousin you've neglected. Make up with the MAGA maniac in your group chat. And proudly pay another year of college tuition for your ungrateful children. Why? Because this is America, damn it, and that's what we do. International tensions remain high across multiple regions, proving once again that human beings somehow possess both incredible intelligence and absolutely no common sense whatsoever. That being said, did I mention it's America's 250th anniversary? This year we celebrate an idea, an imperfect, daring experiment built on liberty, self-governance, and the belief that ordinary people could shape an extraordinary nation. We've stumbled, we've fought, we've failed, and we've risen again. Today, it can feel like we're divided into tribes, while too many seats of leadership are occupied by career politicians and those who've forgotten who they work for. But here's the thing. Governments come and go. Politicians come and go. And history has a funny way of humbling us all. The idea of America, that ordinary people can speak freely, disagree respectfully, and keep striving to be better, that idea is still worth believing in. Maybe now more than ever. So today we celebrate it all. The triumphs, the failures, the lessons, and the hope that the next 250 years are even brighter than the first. From all of us here at the Hub, happy 250th birthday, and God bless America. Closer to home, Colorado celebrates a milestone year. As America celebrates its 250th birthday, Colorado is also gearing up to celebrate its 150th year of statehood. There's extreme fire danger across Colorado. Hot, dry conditions have prompted burn bans and even the cancellation of several 4th of July fireworks displays, including Colorado Springs, as officials focus on wildfire prevention. Governor Polis managed to upset just about everybody. After commuting Tito Peters' sentence, which depending on who you ask was either compassionate leadership or the political equivalent of kicking yourself in your own nuts, if that were anatomically possible, of course. Colorado politics, where anything's possible, even kicking yourself in the nuts. And really quickly, Broncos fans remain cautiously hopeful, Nuggets fans remain emotionally wounded, so why not court old-ass LeBron James, and the Rockies will simply suck way less. What's different? Could it be a change in mindset, discipline, or players finally finding a balance between hustle and progress? I'm not sure of that answer, but today's dear dream guest surely knows a thing or two about accomplishing tough goals. Dear Michael Chang, what fascinates me about people like you isn't just fitness or flexibility. It's the way you've built a community around the movement. You combine mindset with seemingly simple but complex movements to give people the confidence to achieve their wellness goals. And in a world where everybody's distracted and overstimulated, helping people reconnect with themselves might actually be one of the most important jobs there is. Discipline and wellness are a few of my favorite things. It's my belief that the ways in which movement changes people is severely underrated. You, sir, remind people that anywhere is a good place to move. Kids, location, or status have little to do with your ability to take back control over your own life. Not just physically, but mentally and spiritually as well. I look forward to our future conversation, my friend. Be peace, brethren. And speaking of people who radiate positivity and purpose, let's bring in today's guest. Yoga, noun. A Hindu, spiritual, and ascetic discipline, a part of which, including breath control, simple meditation, and the adoption of specific bodily postures, is widely practiced for health and relaxation. Today we are recording somewhere a little bit different. I'm sitting at Jenny's home. Her husband's nearby, her dog Ranger's fortifying the perimeter. 3 chickens are wandering the yard, and my 6-year-old son, this is an edit, is not having the greatest day of his life because he's already been scratched by the dog. But he is now having the greatest part of his life over here using temporary
air dry clay,
at which he's completely ignoring us, so it must be awesome. Honestly, this feels perfect considering my guest, because yoga isn't just something that Jenny teaches at the gym. It's something that she seems to live. Jenny teaches multiple yoga groups and is known not only for her instruction, but the energy she brings into a room. She's one of the most naturally uplifting people I've met in a while. A yoga instructor, performer, creative spirit, and someone whose energy makes you feel like maybe life doesn't need to be taken quite so seriously all the time. And frankly, some of us need that reminder. She's thoughtful, hilarious, and somehow manages to explain yoga poses in a way that even stiff middle-aged men like myself can understand them. But what stood out most wasn't her flexibility or technique. It was passion. The genuine joy she has for helping people feel better, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever version of better they walked in needing that day. And during my highly sophisticated investigative journalism, also known as scrolling, I learned she also dabbles in modeling, performance, and creative expression in general. Please welcome to the Hub, Jenny. Let's get to it. Once again, thank you for inviting us into your home. This is crazy. I've done pop-up podcasts in locations, but never actually in someone's home. But like I said, what I was missing in that intro is that it seems completely fitting to do this with you, because your personality is totally like inviting and the type of person that I would feel invited to come over. So thank you for that.
Totally. I feel like my home is such a huge part of my personality too. So you can get a little taste of what it's like everyday life here. So you got to meet all the animals, most of the animals except for the cat, and just you kind of like vibe with the space.
Dope. So how did it all begin? Was it childhood, basic creativity? Was yoga first, last?
Okay, so I feel like every branch of Jenny has its own story, but let's stick with the yoga variation. So technically, my mom took me to my first yoga class when I was like 16, and like, you know, I was just 16 and going to yoga with my mom like one time. It was cool. I thought it was cool she was doing that. Didn't really care. But then I actually broke my neck diving in shallow water whenever I was 18.
Whoa.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's actually where it began. So I had, you know, our family had issues like a lot of families have, in my childhood, more like my teenagehood. So it was like 16 to 18, but whatever, you know. But as a result of that, I think I got into drinking and, you know, hanging out and kind of getting into trouble like a lot of kids do. And I kind of stayed on that path into college like a lot of kids do. And I was partying as an underage person, and I dove off of a dock into shallow water and I broke my spine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that's what happened. And that night I swam to the top and I thought, well, I'm alive. So I didn't even really get checked out or anything. I just kept living my life for a couple of days. And then my grandmother, who's a nurse, saw me and she's like, oh, you're going to the hospital. Went to the hospital. And it was like in a rural area too. They sat me down and I'm just kind of like sitting there. And again, I was like walking around playing beer pong after this happened, you know? And I knew it happened.
Adrenaline's a biscuit.
It was crazy, but I hit the ground and it's like I saw it in my soul. I knew it happened, but I was scared. You know, I'm insecure. I'm a child, basically, like barely an adult. And I swam to the top. So I thought, okay, like whatever. Like I'm just gonna pretend like that didn't happen. So they sit me in this room and they say, Jennifer, like you need to wait here. Like you've broken your neck and you might be paralyzed. So of course I freaked out, you know. And then they rushed me down to Pittsburgh, and yeah, it turns out that I have broken C6 and C7. I got a fusion actually right here. Like there's a scar somewhere right here, and he did a real good job. It's like right in the fold. I thought I would have like a cool, gnarly, like Frankenstein scar, but it's very delicate. And really throughout, I wore a neck brace for about a year and a half. And really, I still didn't really grasp what had happened to me because at that point in my life, I just sort of was that lost kid that didn't really care. I wasn't looking for myself, but I was looking for something. I was, you know, still, I think, healing in a lot of ways, but that woke me up because then when the neck brace came off, I didn't have health insurance and somebody pointed out to me that I couldn't turn my head. I said, "Did you know that you can't move your head?" And I said, "No." So I Googled yoga and that's the story. That's how the story goes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is not what I was expecting. Like, all right, there goes the whole I ran across a karate school and walked in
No.
nonsense. That's
I had a
insane.
severe injury and I Googled yoga and in
God
particular I
bless.
found Bikram yoga and I went to my first class. It was and really this is sick too, like the self-loathing teenager that I was. I did go to belly dance classes because I knew I had to do something to find myself as an adult. And I heard one of my teachers saying like I did the 30 days. I hated it. It was awful. And I thought to myself, I have to try that. You know, which is kind of sick. Again, like that kid that needed to be healed. But then sure enough, for some reason I stuck with it. Now that was in California that I took my first Bikram yoga class. And then I moved back to Pennsylvania. And there wasn't any belly dancing in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where I wound up, but there was Bikram yoga. And that is how the story goes. I went every day for 4 years. And my studio owner said, "Jenny, you need to go to teacher training." And I said, "No, absolutely not." Like I was crazy in there, but nobody knew it because it was just me on my mat. And she said, "Yeah, what if I help you pay for it?" And then I said, "Okay." So and that's how I became a teacher.
That's exactly awesome. Oh my God. And it's funny because it actually, you literally answered almost every variation of question that was coming up. It was going to be, when did it become more than exercise? It never was. Biggest mentors, it sounds like somebody kind of helped to push you along into it.
Yeah, I think I've had some great studio owners, and yeah, I've had some great leadership in yoga. That's really if it weren't for that studio owner, Deneen in Lancaster, she saw something in me that I absolutely had no idea existed. I I didn't know it was in there, but she saw it and she sent me, and it's a good thing that she did because I've been doing it now for 14 years. It's my 14th year anniversary in June, so just last month.
Congratulations. Congratulations on that. Happy anniversary. I know your marriage is a year too, also. So, a life or death, neck breaking situation like that, yoga, is there a spiritual or a mental moment that happens there too? Because you said you were kind of a hard hit. Like, I
Absolutely.
totally feel you. I've got a similar story. The scar on my hand is me flipping a truck.
Can we hear it?
Yes, yes, yeah, sure, absolutely. And then we're getting back to yours. But okay, so I'm 19, very similar. Uh, you know, I was a decent kid, football, decent grades, all that, but I took to drinking young. And one night I used my brother's ID and I went
Uh-oh.
and we went to the club and one thing led to another and I left when I didn't have any business driving and my brother was in the passenger seat and flipped my truck onto the side and my arm was hanging out of the truck and I've got this scar here. You probably can't see it. It's healed a lot, but it's from like my
I can see
knuckles
it.
all the way down here to my wrist. and it's like I could have lost that arm. It could have been this. It could have been that. Like it was bad. Plus, it turned into a lot of other things and issues with the law and blah 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 and whoop de whoop. But again, it was I did bad things. I had issues after that, but that one right there was like I consider myself the best spokesperson for don't drink and drive, like in the realest way. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
that's incredibly lucky, and it's great that you had that. I feel like the light bulb moment. So certainly after I broke my neck again, a year with that neck brace on, it didn't. I don't want to say phase me. What's the word? It didn't sink in how close I was to losing my life because I don't think I cared about my life enough at that point.
Right.
But then yes, the spiritual part of yoga, I eventually got the mobility back in my neck, and looking in the mirror doing yoga, I was like, girl, you got a lot of other problems that you got to work on in here. And I felt my soul healing and my self-esteem healing and forgiveness and, self-realization and all those things that you have to work on for the rest of your life. But that was the first time that I learned that, like, I have to do this and I have to do it now. And there's so much potential in me, not just what I've been through, you know?
Right. And sometimes, especially for, I think, I don't want to say hard head, but for
You can say it.
for hard headed types, like you, like me, like us, like probably a lot of people out there, you need something that jars you.
I always say breaking my neck was one of the best things that ever happened to me because thankfully I got into yoga really young. So I was 19 when I started. Um, and that's a huge gift in itself. Yeah, and then it put me on the path of just wellness because when I figured out that I liked exercising and I liked feeling good and I liked healing, then I stuck with it, even though it's taken me a long time and I still work on it every single day. I realized that it's actually pretty fun.
Absolutely. I just want to let you know, son, I just won't say your name, and you can talk whenever you want to talk. If you want to ask a question or something, feel free. And you know, you just can't be in the shot and stuff like that.
For me,
What was that little uh, clay thing that I saw in the stuff when I was putting the glue up?
glue.
Because it was down on its side.
They thing.
Oh, is it something that I made of clay?
Maybe she can show you
You
to
can
it.
bring it over and then I can tell you.
There you go.
There's all kinds of weird things in the art closet that you can find.
All right. So I'm trying to promote that he has his voice and he can.
I love that
always
too. I love that he's
be
digging
around
through
and
the art closet right now, which is very unorganized chaos in there. We're doing some air dry clay and making some art over there, which is great. I love it.
Yeah, I'm just not comfortable with the facial, but he can talk and be around and all that. I like him knowing he's in on
That is a
in on
cat face
everything.
that I made.
Oh, it's like a mask almost.
Yeah,
There you go.
perfect.
There you go. It looks just like you. Thank you, son. We needed that. All right. Thank you. Were you always this positive?
I think so. I think so. I think like somewhere in there, like it's hard to say, but I think so. Um, yeah, I can't think of a moment when I went from negative to positive. Definitely negative behaviors. Again, with the break and plenty of other mistakes that I've made. But I think that in general, I'm actually an optimist to a flaw.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
actually, I would say it's almost a flaw sometimes because I tend to always see the good in things and good in people, and it's gotten me in trouble too. But that's trouble that I'm down to deal with because you can't change that. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
be jaded.
I've been hard to get over, like still loving on people.
Yeah,
Even though you're like all jaded about it and stuff, you're like, well, it's really the best thing I can do. And it's like the only thing I'm really good at. And like, I think it's what I'm here for. So I should probably lean into it, even if it's hard.
yeah. I mean, I will. I see flaws in people, and sometimes I've tried to love it out of them, and I can't. But I did my best. And
And
even sometimes too, like I think of times in my life when I was maybe having some trouble or I was like lost on my path and people have loved me and maybe I didn't respond the way that they hoped. But you still look back at those times and think, that person cared about me. And maybe in the moment I didn't get it, but down the road they will.
sometimes you see the best in people when they don't see it in themselves. Like some people are like, I'm like even with this, I'm like, nah, you should check this out. Like I'd like to. And they're like, I'm not cool. My podcast doesn't have a ton of viewers. It's not like that. But I just like you're interesting. What you do is cool, and people are genuinely surprised sometimes. I think to hear that.
The couple episodes I did listen to, I picked subjects that I didn't think I was going to be into just for our listeners. And immediately I went through the whole thing, just like burned it up. So, yeah, I agree.
Oh, you listen? Cool.
Well, I
Right.
had to get ready to see if I was going to get grilled or what was going to happen here.
I mean, I love the hub. It's so urban. I don't know whether to guard my pocketbook or to start a revolution. The hub, it's an amazing place, really. So right, and it's totally amazing. Not that. Yeah, it's like it's all love. It's really about just pointing people towards each other. What's up, son?
When this ends, can I play some music for the ending part?
I mean, I suppose. And I'm gonna go back and edit this and put music in it too. So, I mean, yeah, of course. I don't even know how you're gonna do it, but we'll think of something.
We should tell our viewers/listeners too, on the other side of the wall, there's instruments everywhere. So the creative juices are flowing down here.
Yeah, so everybody down here is getting into it, even the next generation. Your teaching style, Jenny, is something that I immediately noticed. Me and your husband were just talking about it, and that I couldn't tell you what baklava or behavior yoga or Siddhartha or nothing. I couldn't tell you the name of a move besides Cobra maybe. But the way you explain things makes it doable. Like if you follow directions, you're able to do that because of how creatively you're able to explain movements and poses. You make it feel approachable and fun and not super intimidating. Is that naturally how you are, or is that a teaching style you learned?
I think that it's a little bit of both. So I didn't know that I was a teacher. And I think, honestly, along from having some good support in yoga, but in my whole life, I've actually had a lot of bad teachers. I've had a lot of bad teachers, like in music and even in yoga. I've had some instructors that I would say now at this point I didn't agree with, but back then I didn't know any better. And I learned a lot from them. Whenever I hit a block trying to be a student, I learned where I wasn't connecting or I wasn't getting it. And I pride myself in being a slow learner. Really, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if you are a slow learner, you have to take your time. You really have to digest it and you have to understand it in order to move forward with it. So I try to make it as available as possible. And I like to speak in layman's terms, like something that everybody is going to understand. Now, as far as yoga goes, I think it helps that I had my injury too, because I also was not born able to touch my toes. I actually cheated on the presidential award with the V-sit. That's a different story. I love that story.
I love that story too. So you feel free to tell it. The V-sit, if you folks don't remember, in gym class, you had like 4 or 5 workouts. You could explain.
Yeah. So President Bill Clinton would send you a little document that said you completed the presidential. If you didn't get the presidential, you would get national, which was like second place, but you had to run the mile, you had to do the pull up. I did everything, but one thing I couldn't do was touch my toes. And so you put your feet on a board and you reach over the board to touch your toes and they measure it. And I was like, okay, I got this in my little kid mind. And I went to touch my toes and I was like, boom, and my elbow was all the way up there. And all the little cheerleader girls was like, you can't do that. How's she doing that? Turns out, I think the gym teacher cut a hole in the board. So it was actually up to my knees. And I just cheated on that thing and I got the document. And I realized after it happened that I cheated, but I was like, I'm not telling a soul. I'm getting that presidential award this time.
You got the document. That's all that matters. And for those of you that don't understand, Jenny's slightly on the taller side. So
I'm 5'9" and I'm all leg.
Might have been challenging a little bit at that time.
But then in my adult life, when I was 24, I learned to touch my toes, and now I can put my wrist. I'm easily categorized as a flexible person, which still in my mind I still can't comprehend after 18 years of yoga. But I earned it, and again, I'm a slow learner. I didn't get anything for free, but I think having a body that was so resistant, I guess, to flexibility. I don't think I had a lot of strength. I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't comfortable around people. All of those things that I love about yoga now, I didn't have and I really had to earn. And I just want people to get there a lot faster than I did.
A lot of people still think yoga is like stretching and, maybe a little culty and it's kind of a clicky situation and only certain people do it. Like you said, inaccessible. What do you think's the biggest misconception people have about yoga?
I think that it can be culty and it can be for flexible people. I totally can see that, but also it's just not true, and you've just got to find the space for it. So in my career as a yoga instructor, I've taught students as young as 6 and as old as 96. So you can be any age. And I was trained in Bikram yoga, which if you don't know Bikram yoga, you can watch it on Netflix. And again, you'll see it's a little culty there. But that being said, Bikram, one of his best quotes that's super famous for him is never too old, never too late to start from scratch and something like that. But never too old, never too late was kind of the slogan in that community. And I really believe in that. I really think that I got lucky because I was young, but I have had students who are 60 walking into their very first yoga class. Students that are super young walking into their first yoga class, they walk away from it for 10 years and then come back, you know? So it's always going to be there, and it's just up to you if you want to do it. And there's no finish line with yoga. So that's another great thing I think about fitness, but with yoga in particular, you're never going to finish your last class. It goes on and on forever. As long as you're doing it, it's there.
That's how I end up coming back to it. Between yoga and martial arts, I just kind of leave and come back. That's why you think I'm good at it. You're like, oh, he's good at it. Like, it's just that I stretch a lot.
Yeah. And flexibility too is being somebody who spent a lot of their life unflexible, but now I am flexible. It really does make your life easier. Like if you don't have to bend your knees to pick something up, that energy that you save and on your joints. And I didn't understand that. So if you're out there and you're one of my stiff friends, you're the one who's supposed to be coming to yoga.
Right. The stiffer, the better. Like,
Better.
yeah, that's true because it makes a bigger difference. It's like going from not being able to run a mile to all of a sudden being able to run it, even if you do it in 15, 20 minutes. Like, it's a victory even more than a person who did it before. Like, it's crazy.
I just can't imagine not doing yoga at this point now because I'm so embedded in it. But how, another nice thing about yoga too is it does kind of stick in your body a little bit. Like you can like kind of ebb and flow with it. But yeah, for all the yoga that I've done, the days that I'm stiff, I'm like, man, I can't imagine if I didn't do yoga how stiff I would.
What do you mean? Like, do you mean in the sense that, like, if you take it off, if you're off for a month or a week, you're still gaining the benefit of it,
I think
or it
so.
sustains itself in a way?
I think if you practice yoga regularly, which like you're always trying to do it, but if you fall off that wagon for a month, if you get back in there, of course, your first class, you're going to be stiff, but pretty soon you'll say, oh, it's like my body remembers it. It wants to come back to that place of flexibility in space. It wants to open up like that. So that's what I like about it. I've never really been much of a weightlifter, although I fantasize about it all the time. But you know, I feel like you do all this work, and if you don't go for a month, then it just goes away, and you have to start over.
But what you do, because you do power yoga, or I do power yoga with Jenny, she also teaches other ones. Like, I know guys that can lift weights and that can do a whole bunch of other stuff, but what you teach would be near impossible for them. Like, dead impossible for them, and people that are in really great shape.
Yoga is such a practical form of physical fitness too, because it doesn't tear you down. I mean, like it shouldn't. You can make mistakes and pull something here and there at yoga, which I've heard you've done before.
I think I have.
Because sometimes you really want to get it, and you've got to learn patience with your body. But it's not destructive. It's restorative. Even if it is power yoga, I think it's restoring your body every time you come. So you'll be sore, but it's like that good sore.
On behalf of my seafood, now that you mentioned the restorativeness of it, he seems to complain. I think he just has a beef with anything that's not kung fu or my particular style of whatever it is that I do and such. I think he just has beef with everything else. But he says it's not good for, he's like, yeah, your joints will be bad and your back will be bad in a few years. Keep doing yoga. Like, is there any truth to doing too much? Can you overdo it?
I think that, yeah, there's probably some truth to that in a way. I think if you
or is that just what you did to your own body kind of situation?
I think if you're hypermobile, so if you're somebody who is classified as flexible and you come to yoga, I think you're actually more at risk to hurt yourself than a flexible person, or than a non-flexible person, because you can pop something out of place or you don't feel your body. Like if you're stiff, you feel every single moment of that stretch. I'm flexible now, so I don't feel it until I'm cranked up to like 11.
Right.
You know, so that's when I've made my mistakes, is whenever I'm trying to get past the threshold, but really I need a boundary. And usually it's my ego. Like I want to have the fanciest pose in the room or something like that. I'm not even going to play. Like I want to have my leg the highest in the air or something like that. And that's where I've made the mistakes, because I don't feel anything until I've already crossed into that like red zone, that injure zone.
Yep, I think that's exactly what happens to me also. Wow, that's a good observation.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Definitely. And as far as like back and joints, I noticed that my joints hurt for the first time last week in my life, and I'm about to be 38. So I think that it's going pretty well. But I also said, okay, rather than thinking it's my body breaking down, what did I do last week? Well, I was eating a lot of sugar. I was pretty dehydrated. You know, I was sleeping in weird positions. I'm like, let's just try to get hydrated and keep exercising. And see
I'm
how it
noticing
goes.
that those things as I get older, like I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? Oh yeah, I forgot I had a candy bar of some fake
The whole bag of
fructose nut.
Twizzlers, not gonna lie. It's like, I'm pretty sure that's inflammation of some point. So, having awareness of what you're putting in your body, not just how you're using it too, I think helps.
So all candy aside, wellness, fads, what's going on right now? What's your overall take on wellness in 2026? What works? What's snake oil? And what's new?
Okay, so I might get a lot of
Just a hot
hate
take.
for this. I don't know, but I think protein is way overhyped right now.
Oh, hold on. We got to cut. We may have to cut. Okay, tell me. I'm probably the person who needs to hear this.
Well, look, I think protein is great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, what about fiber though? Like, what, I think if you're trying to hit these insane levels, because I tried it a couple of years ago. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get these like 80 grams of protein or whatever they're like recommending, and then it's so hard to stay in this caloric deficit or whatever your caloric intake needs to be, and not get the fiber. So I'm like, okay, I just don't know.
What benefit are you missing not having the fiber?
Like your bowel movements are going to get screwed up. You're going to get stuffed up,
Is there truth to that? Because if we're not getting too personal, we're grown. This is the beauty of this. Like,
Yo, used to talk about anything. Okay, we always talking about belly stuff.
so I've been noticing that the more I pay attention to movements and different things and I look at the research and you see stuff that's posted and they're like, yeah, stay a little bit over here, son. I'm not sure if you're in it or not. I love you. But a lot of it has to do with, things that help you pass parasites or certain stuff and this and that. And I feel like there's truth to it, because I notice the better that I keep my diet, the more normal my movements are. But also that eating a sugar or a thing of Sour Patch Kids, not that I do that.
Right?
My body literally says, sugar overload, you suck.
Yeah,
Your body doesn't do that anymore.
You last week, I'm telling you, I don't know what got into me with these Twizzlers, but it does every once in a while, and I suffer for it. So yeah, I think.
But your body physically now, like, it used to not know.
Yeah.
And now that I eat right and stuff, like, everything moves better, and then it's like, hold on, there's an interruption in the movement. And it's an emergency because you entered something that don't belong there.
Exactly. The more healthy your diet and your movement practice is, the more sensitive you are. And I feel like being sensitive is good. Sometimes when I was younger, I was a little jealous of sensitive people, because I'm like, I could eat whatever I wanted. I could do whatever I wanted to my body, and there's no repercussion. Now that I'm a little older, yes, there is. And I appreciate that, because that keeps me a little bit more motivated to take care of myself. But I guess as far as like trends go, I think protein is great. We need lots of it, but I don't know if we need as much of it as like all the hype is happening.
And don't sleep on your fiber.
That's just me. Yeah. Like, eat your fruits and your veggies. Like you're not going to get too much sugar from eating your fruits and your veggies. If you eat Sour Patch Kids and Twizzlers, like, yeah, for sure. But just, don't eat that and eat that mango,
No, eat that
in my
mango.
opinion, but I'm not a professional in that. That's just what my gut says.
I diet about as well as I do podcasting, so it's not great. It's definitely winging it. Now, all right, I guess we're gonna temporarily abandon inner peace and emotional balance and bowel movements because it's free time. This is the part of the show where our guest has a few options. Jenny, you've got 3 options, so namaste. and good luck. Option 1 is off the top. A freestyle poem or rap based on generated topics that I have right here. Option 2, on the spot. We could improvise a skit based on also some scenarios that I've got right here. Option 3 is always dealer's choice. If you've got any ideas or anything, I am always willing to participate because I'm completely ignorant when it comes to those
So
things.
I'm terrified, but
And if none of those work for you, we can, for the shy types, we've got rapid fire questions to which you'd have quick answers to a few questions. Go.
I'm not sure if I'm categorized as shy, but I'm intrigued by the skit.
Oh, I'm intrigued by the skit grabber. So
Nobody picks that one.
I think you're the second.
All right.
I think you're the second. The rap and the skit are definitely the least choose.
Like it's like in my head I could see it, but I'm like, I don't think so. I think it's just gonna be like cement and
Oh.
muscle.
All right. Well, the good news is that we've got my trusty assistant over here, my 6-year-old, and he can direct our next skit. So stay tuned. It only gets more interesting from here. Oh my God. All right. Folks, we are back, and our topics for, first of all, Miss Jenny chose to do a skit.
The hard one.
The hard one, definitely the hard one. Definitely the first or second most hard out of the three. That's like
Always I pick the hard way, the long way.
So we've got the options of a yoga instructor trying to calm people during a Black Friday sale, me attempting yoga while emotionally narrating every muscle pain, or a meditation retreat ruined by Broncos fans arguing nearby. We're going to choose option 3, a meditation retreat ruined by Broncos fans arguing nearby, with the caveat that Jenny here is
I'm a Steelers fan.
a Steelers fan.
So the Broncos are playing the Steelers. I'm a Steelers fan, and there are Broncos rowdy fans nearby, and I am going to teach a little meditation yoga class during.
Okay, there we go. So that makes me the rowdy fan. All right, so you, son, can stand right here. And Miss Jenny here will be your yoga instructor.
Let's put one hand on our belly and one hand on our bleeding heart and have a deep breath in. It's gold. And a deep breath out. It's black. Deep breath in. Winning 6 Super Bowls. Deep breath out. Losing a lot of playoff games. Inhale.
Broncos, line up.
Exhale.
Third down.
Try
Third down
not
to
to think
center.
about
Bo Nix drops back.
us being stampeding horses. We want to
Yes.
clear the way.
Yes.
We wanna
Yes,
clear
a
the way
20-yard
for
bomb for the
winning
touchdown.
victory. We don't remember our past like John Elway. We remember the future that we're going to win.
What have they stolen?
We're going to win
They haven't stolen Super Bowls.
in our hearts, in our minds.
They haven't stolen
We're gonna be
wins.
strong and have no injuries in our body.
Firing stole their coach.
Oh, know who our coach is right now, but it's going to be good. You are your own coach. You're your guide.
So Broncos. Namaste.
Namaste.
I'll put music and make it worth listening.
Exactly. That was hard, but that was fun.
You're such a soldier. I love it. Back in action after another debacle here on the hub. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I have no idea how that turned out, how that's going to turn out, but we'll see how my editing wonders go. And thank you, Miss Jenny, for your participation.
So that was hard and weird and scary, but I gotta say, that was kind of fun. It's fun. I haven't done something like that. I'm actually gonna just have to like try that next time I go to a Broncos game.
Yeah, let's see if you can just start a yoga retreat right in the middle of the
Like, see
game.
if one of my favorite things to do, though, I was a bartender at a point in my life, and they know I'm a yoga teacher, is drunk people love to think that they can do yoga. They love
when they're
it.
drunk?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and,
yes.
Every time they cannot. That's a spoiler alert. So maybe I should actually go down there and try it.
I feel like you were speaking of emceeing, we should MC yoga at the bar.
MC yoga at the bar would be cool, too. I love that.
we're not going to let you guys in on this. This is background information. You might get some invitations to something neat.
That's right.
So, back from our awesome performance, when I was looking through your information, I saw that you also dabble in modeling and performance work. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Yes. So, believe it or not, I was a very, very shy kid whenever I was growing up. And really, it was in high school that I realized I wasn't born to be shy. But I still had a lot of work to do. I did start teaching myself guitar in high school, and I wrote songs, but I would very sheepishly play in my closet, and no one would ever see that. But then, actually, this is kind of sad, but I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? So it was 2011. So that's like a year, 2010, 2011. So a year before I became a yoga instructor, but I practiced yoga. One of my friends became very ill, and I was so depressed about it that I kind of became very thin. I'm gonna just go ahead and say heroin chic a little bit. It's how I looked. I was definitely. It was depression though, but I dropped some weight because I was really sad and worried about my friend. And then all of a sudden, people were like, "Oh, like you should be a model," and I was like, "Really?" Like, okay. No, I was always like a thinner person, but all of a sudden, started getting these pats on the back, and I met a photographer, and he's like, "I gotta set you up with your portfolio," and so I did, and that was like America's Next Top Model, like that was like in at the time.
Okay.
And then I just discovered that I loved it because when I model, I'm not Jenny anymore. I'm a persona, like I'm whoever the character is supposed to be.
Right.
And I just discovered that I loved collaborating. I love the camera. I love the costumes. I loved it. So I just got really, really into it. And that was one of my first big creative outlets is modeling. And then I think it was really good timing because then when I became a yoga teacher, I wasn't so terrified to be in front of people.
Right. That's so cool because there's so many different ways to kind of be creative, and you kind of explore all of them.
Yes.
And you got guts, kid. You got guts.
I've just been lucky, I guess, in my life to have also like Jose Ernesto was my first photographer, and he saw me. I don't know how we discovered each other, but he totally created a safe, fun, positive experience for me where he's like just kind of egging me on, and I'm like loving it. And now I got a camera, and I want to like create that for other people too because it's the best. It's so fun. Like, who doesn't love a good photo shoot?
So, another funny story. So, I told you a little bit about my midlife crisis, my behind, and kind of my first time segments that I create. One of the first things that I did on Facebook, there was a modeling audition. So I went to this modeling audition. I went and bought a black shirt, some black pants, and walked in on this modeling audition and just did it and recorded little pieces and parts of it. Because the idea of this show, if you haven't noticed yet, is whoever you are, however you are, if you don't think you could do something, go try it anyway.
Yes.
The hardest part of anything is sucking at it, and the worst part of it is sucking at it. So try it.
Like I said, I'm a slow learner, but AKA, like I suck at everything whenever I start because you've never done it. And I used to, again, when I was younger, like I thought there was some standard that I just should be good at things. You ain't gonna be good at it until you try it. So if you're just brave enough to get out there and like give it a shot, if you have fun, then like what do you have to lose? Except for a little time, maybe.
And that's like what
not wasted time. That's just like learning and growing. It's so fun to try something that scares you a little bit, like that skit.
Yeah, like that. And it's so cheesy to say like the lesson is in the journey, but like that's what I try to instill in him. It's like, when you learn things, you're always mostly bad at it when you start. But it's until you get to that second, third, fourth, fifth time that you actually might get a grasp on it. You figure out what you want to pick up and what you want to put down. You know what I'm saying? And it gives you options.
And it makes your will so much stronger because especially if I tease my husband because he's kind of good at everything first try, but I'm thankful that I'm not because if I want to be good at it, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to wrestle with it until I get, like at least a little bit of a grip.
That slow learner you talked about is interesting too because I sort of take a similar approach. I don't ever, like other people get things quickly. I tend to take longer to get them, but I make less mistakes.
Yes.
I noticed. Is it similar with you?
Just because I've put in the time, like to make the mistake or like wrestle the
Or
mistake.
it doesn't bother you to make the mistake.
It doesn't bother me, or I just like learn to understand the mistake rather
Right.
than just hoping it doesn't happen again. Like I want to figure out like what's going on.
How'd that come about?
Yep.
Right.
Modeling too, I've learned all kinds of like goofy things just doing that. Like how to not make a weird face or like if I don't know, like all kinds of things. And you only learn from looking at bad pictures. That's the only
Right.
way you're gonna know.
That's true. That's true.
You're
That's
only
true.
gonna know if you play a bad chord, like which one doesn't fit, unless you're, you just have those ears. Some people are super blessed, but for me, like I feel like I learn so much from like the bad teachers, the mistakes, the bad note, the ugly picture.
Yeah.
Those are the biggest opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Between the yoga, performing, modeling, you kind of touched on it. You've seen firsthand kind of how people are hard on themselves, physically, mentally.
Totally.
What have you learned most about confidence on your journey that has helped you to come from a broken neck to 4 years in yoga, a tall girl who can't touch her toes, to a confident human embracing their talent and and willing to make mistakes in order to get better?
I think yoga probably taught me the art of just letting go of what is good, bad, what's right, wrong, so I feel like moving through my life, yoga's taught me a lot of confidence because I'm really comfortable with falling out of the pose, with making the mistake. I'm very comfortable with not being perfect ever, but definitely not being perfect in the learning process. And yeah, I think I'm still hard on myself, I think, in some places, but I've just learned to let it go somehow. And I don't know what it is, but I always say to guys too, uh, not to burn on the dudes too much, but like yoga is like therapy, but you don't even have to talk to anybody. So, girls always want the guys to go to therapy. Just go to yoga and you don't even have to talk about it because somehow the movement in your body and the relationship with yourself gets so strong, you don't even have to tell anybody what you're thinking. It just happens. So I feel like yoga has built my confidence without even really being able to put my finger on it. And it's because I'm comfortable in my body. I've gotten more comfortable in my head because I know what thoughts are real, which ones aren't. I can watch my own thoughts.
Right.
Like sometimes I get on these, everybody has that moment you're like, I should have said this to that person, that when I see that come up, I say, oh, there it is. There's that pathway that's not good for you. Like move on to something else. And when I was first learning to do that, I would make like a jingle whenever I would notice I would be having negative, repetitive thoughts. And one of them was definitely, I'm going to wash those thoughts right out of my head.
Can go anywhere and do anything with the Hub Podcast.
Like something stupid.
Yeah.
You're thinking about something else. So like, if you're somebody out there who's struggling with like a narrative that you're believing, which probably it's just repetitive thoughts that don't actually mean anything and they're not yours. They feel like yours because they're in your head, but really it's just chaos that you absorb. And I can prove to you that they're not yours. And that's any millennial that knows 1-800-SAFE AUTO. Like that's not your thought, but why does that song get stuck in your head?
Right.
Or, like why do those because they're pressed on you and you absorb it. I don't want to think about jingles from the 90s, but sure enough, they're in there.
That's true.
So then that that's not really something that you created. That's just something that's there that you have to manage.
And you're right. It's a lot of unlearning of perspective.
Yes.
Half of the time. Like I look at the innocence, like even in kids and things like that. And it's like, they don't know the anger.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the anxiety. They haven't had to experience it yet. And it's almost like life or us in a lot of ways puts it on them before they have to. It's like, just let them, almost, and we as adults almost need to do it too. Just let yourself relax, be a kid, take the pressure off.
Be a kid too as an adult, I think is so important in my life. Like I'm always getting dirty or like doing something, that I just feel like it keeps my spirit young. I don't know if 38's old or young anymore, but I definitely like feel just as creative and excited about things. They just shift which direction you go. And I think it's because I'm definitely not afraid to like make fun a top priority in my life. You know, and like yoga should be fun, healing should be fun, all that stuff that you're doing. You could come to yoga, which I did for the first 4 years. Now, remember, I'm healing from a neck brace. I'm a self-loathing teenager, basically. I like my belly dance teacher said, like, I thought you were supposed to be miserable and I thought it was supposed to suck as much as possible. And then one day I learned that that's totally on me. That was totally up to me. I didn't have to be like that the whole time. And then from that moment on, I thought, even if things are challenging and exhausting, they can totally be fun. That's up to you.
Absolutely. And the biggest story that you ever hear about yourself is the one that you tell
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah. So if you think you can't do it, then you're not going to be able to do it. And it doesn't matter what everybody else says too, because I also think in my life, I've had a lot of people tell me no and that I can't. And that's stupid. I look back and I'm like, shame on those people, you
Yeah.
know, for saying that to me. But it's their own fears and their own
Right.
projections. I get it now. But really, it's again, that's just some chaos out there that I could absorb. And since I learned to recognize true thoughts and just like that static with meditation, then that doesn't get in my way. And I think that's how I gained a lot of confidence, is I can see what's real and what's not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's real and what's not.
Hopefully.
Hey, discernment's a heck of a thing, and we're not going to get it right every time, but effort is part of that challenge.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
Are there any up and coming events, any information that you'd like to get out there, anything that you'd like to, chat about before we go?
At this point in my life, I think I was eager for it too. I'm in a creative phase, so I'm not sure like where I'm going next. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of everything. But what I'm most excited about creatively is that I have a little musical project going on. So I also had a band back in Pittsburgh, which is great. But right now in Colorado, I'm feeling more at home. I'm feeling that sense of community. We're writing music again, and we're writing music collaboratively. So I'm super excited about my musical group, but we don't quite have a band name yet. But whenever that comes, we'll get back to you.
Well, you guys can send your band name titles to the Instagram.
Yeah.
And
If you have any suggestions, we love that. So yeah, I'm excited about writing music. I'm excited. I just got a bunch of new animals too. So I got 3 chickens. I just got a puppy. I got a big garden outside. So I think I'm just doing like a progressive homesteading creative chapter.
There's a cat highway, you guys.
There's a super cat highway. So we're just
And a chicken coop
chicken coop,
right here in the city.
all that.
It's pretty amazing.
And I dream of the next like phase of how far I can take my little suburban farm like every day.
You've got to meet my niece. She's got a chicken coop. He's the one with the bigger chickens
Nice.
that I was talking about, and it's very similar. I'm interested in the homesteading.
We could do a whole podcast about it together.
Yes, I'm
but-
down. Oh, yes. Can we?
Yeah.
Oh, you heard it here first, people.
We have a grapevine out there. I'm like, should I be making wine? Like, what else can I do? So, there's blackberries. So I'm just like, my mind just feels really creative and open right now. So I'm like thinking about how to homestead harder.
How cool. How cool. All right. Well, before we wrap things up, that was awesome. Huge shout out.
I also want to give a shout out to Brandon, who's literally like, I shouldn't say the best student, but I would say top 5 on the best students I've ever had. So thank you for having me on the podcast, and thank you for inspiring the other students when you come to class. And he's a good listener, follows directions. Like, it's amazing to teach Brandon at yoga. I love it.
Thank you so much. And it's amazing to learn from you. I, too, have had a lot of not great teachers and mentors in my past. So when I see them, I hold on to them. So you're special, and I appreciate you in a
so
big
much.
way. Thank you. Before we go, huge shout outs to MJ's Collectibles. If you're into vinyl or collectibles, you'll find them inside the Aurora Mall at Nerds Kingdom. Also, Property Pals Limited for all your commercial cleaning needs. And don't forget, if you've got a business, talent, event, or passion project worth talking about, hit me up at messagemyhub@gmail.com. You might just end up here on the hub. Jenny, once again, seriously, thank you. Watching you teach it does remind me a lot of what teaching should be like, and it's really amazing. Thank you for opening your home to us. Thanks for sharing your story, which I had no idea was that deep or cool. And thanks for helping people move a little bit better and probably live a little bit better too.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to my story and having me on the show.
Heck yeah. And if you folks out there have enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend, keep supporting passionate people doing incredible things, because every interesting person has a story and every story has a hub. We'll see you next time. To everybody listening, thank you for hanging out with us once again. And remember, take it light and it won't ever get too heavy. Be peace, brethren.
Yes.
Feeling right again. No lie, embracing the truth about who I really am. Let's never let mediocrity rule our life again. It's about time for us to make a move. Gain some leverage in the design of those who think us fools. Like violent twisted tools, they point and shoot what we consume. We eat it up and chart a path and take it to the moon. That's how the world took a MAGA banner and made it racist. That's how black lives start to matter, but only certain cases. They sow dissension to take attention while nothing changes. But unified through each other's eyes, we can rearrange it. It may have been a mistake to grab a mic again. I'm finally facing my demons and feeling right again. No lie, embracing the truth about who I really am. Let's never let mediocrity